Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is the first Friday in June. It is a lovely day. And you know, I am Deb Burton, the host of Friday Friends. And every Friday at 9, I come on here to share with you information and resources that you or someone you know needs to know about. So make sure you hit the like button, the share button, all those social media bells and whistles that let people know, hey, check this out. This is really important. Now, as you know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we could not bring this show to you without the support of our sponsors. So a huge thank you to McCarthy Law as well as Washington Trust. They have been absolutely wonderful sponsors for Friday Friends, as well as Point 32 Health, United Healthcare, and Oak Street Health. I cannot leave out the help of 321 Media, who really makes this all come together for me, and England Studio. It is one of those situations where many hands make the load light. So I'm not sure if you're aware, if you're a longtime viewer, you are, but if you're one of my newer viewers, you may not be aware that the month of June is World Elder Abuse Awareness Month. And all of our shows, all of our Friday Friends in the month of June are dedicated to raising awareness of elder abuse, as well as what are the contact information that you can reach out to if you suspect that someone needs help. And so I understand that some of the things that we may talk about this month may not necessarily be comfortable, but it's important topics because 1 in 10 older adults, 1 in 10 report elder abuse. So for every one individual who reports, there are 10 people who don't. So I understand that this conversation and the conversations this month might make some people feel uncomfortable or think, oh yeah, that doesn't really apply to me, but it does. But I also respect that if you feel uncomfortable that you need to tune out, and that's okay too. So if you need to check out, I get it, but please share the video first, because when there's only 1 in 10 who are reporting, there's a lot of folks out there that we need to be able to reach, and we need your help to do that. So when you think about elder abuse, I think a lot of times we think of a punch in the face, maybe the black eyes, the bruises, and those are 100% elder abuse, when people are being assaulted, no question. And we all know that if we're seeing something, we have to say something. If it's, right there, somebody's in imminent danger, of course you're going to call 911, right? I mean, everybody knows that part. But I think we might see things that make us say, yeah, something's not quite right. And then we don't know what to do with that information. Like we get the sense that something's a little off and we're not sure what it is. I think a lot of times, the physical abuse, sexual abuse, we have really clear-cut pictures as to what that is. So those are, as awful as it is, those are the ones that are easier to recognize. But sometimes there are those situations that fall under the umbrella of neglect, and you can be neglected by your caregiver. But there's also something called self-neglect. And we don't always think about those situations as something that needs to be called in, but they are. So let me give you some examples. That neighbor, the grass is really high. Okay, that's not really a bad thing, all things considered. But that inside their house, they're living in squalor and the house is hoarded. And that they're losing weight because you can see when they go to the mailbox that their clothes are really starting to hang off of them. And sometimes they seem maybe a little confused. Maybe they are talking about things from the way, way back. in history and not the things that are more current events. And you think, yeah, they're telling me about their spouse, that they had breakfast with their spouse, but I know I went to the funeral for their spouse 10 years ago. You have that sense in your gut, something's not right. But then it's like, okay, what do I do with that information? It's really, really important that when you have that sense of something not being right, that you contact the Office of Healthy Aging's Adult Protective Services. Their number is 401 462 0555. And you can tell them that you have concerns about your neighbor or about your friend or about someone you care about. You can do it anonymously, because I know sometimes people are like, oh God, if I make the report, they're going to know it's me. If they get my name, then like they're going to be so mad at me. You still need to make the report, but you can do it anonymously. Now, here's one of the things that can sometimes be a little challenging. When you make those reports, Adult Protective Services can't acknowledge whether or not there is or isn't a case that has been opened on the person. And that can be really frustrating because you don't know whether or not the individual is getting the help that they want. Now, here's the other thing that can be really frustrating as well. Well, now wasn't that fun? I got cut off mid-sentence. I think what it is this is a topic that is so hot we burned up the internet and we lost connection. Go figure. Like I was saying, even though we get older, we don't lose our rights to make our own decisions. And that includes refusing help, even if we need it. Now, think about all those times when you were younger and somebody's like, oh, can I help you out with that? No, I'm fine. Can I help? Hey, you might need a hand with, no, I'm fine. Remember that time you thought it was a good idea to try to move your apartment all by yourself? And people said, let us help you. And you're like, no, I'm fine. Yeah, our right to say it's fine doesn't change as we get older. And so even though we might need help, we have the right to refuse help. And Adult Protective Services is not going to come kick in the door and make you get help if you don't want it. And so that's one of the assurances that you can have if you are calling in to report suspicions that something's not quite right with somebody. The other thing that sometimes we're aware of when we're friendly with our neighbor is, your neighbor gets really excited at the beginning of the month, right? The check has come in and she's so excited because her son, her favorite baby boy, is coming and taking her out to lunch. And they go out to lunch and she tells you how wonderful it was to see him. And God, he's really struggling. He needed some money. And so your neighbor gave him money. And she does not have the money to give. Yeah. But she's so excited. And then son doesn't come around all month until the first of the next month. Oh my God, she's so excited. They're going to go out to dinner. She misses her baby boy, but he's so busy and he's really struggling. And he just needed a little bit of money. And you see that pattern. And that pattern continues and continues. Or maybe it is someone that that their family member has maybe a substance use disorder and they are inappropriately taking your friend's money or your loved one's money. Yeah, these are things that you have to call in. So the number to call again is 401 462 0555. Absolutely, of course, if somebody's in immediate danger, call 911. Now, here's something interesting that I think sometimes people don't realize is if you have a loved one in a long-term care facility, so a nursing home, assisted living, and you have concerns about their care, well, there's a couple different directions that you can go in. Of course, you can notify Adult Protective Services, but they're probably going to redirect you to the Rhode Island Department of Health. And the Rhode Island Department of Health Facilities Regulation, their number is 401 222 5200. and you can report any concerns that you might have in relation to long-term care. So maybe you feel like there's not enough staff working to meet the needs of the residents. Maybe there's food that is being delivered cold. Maybe there's that one worker who's really just kind of not nice. You can call the facilities regulation, and the Rhode Island Department of Health will go out and visit the facility and work to address those issues with the facility from a regulatory standpoint. Now, maybe it's a situation where your loved one is in the facility and nothing is really working for them. They're really just not satisfied, but without a specific thing that you can put your finger on. Well, you can call the Long-Term Care Ombudsman's office. Here in Rhode Island, that number is 401-785-3340. Every state, all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Guam, has a long-term care ombudsman. And what their role is to address the issues that individuals in long-term care have that they want addressed. So maybe they want to have a shower more often. They don't mind the way it is right now, but they'd really like to have a shower more often. But maybe they're a little hesitant to speak up because they don't want the girl to be upset with them. And so the long-term care ombudsman can work with that resident to facilitate that change that the resident wants. It is resident driven. Now, the good thing is, maybe you're watching here in Rhode Island. Maybe you have an Aunt Edna in Wyoming who is having issues with a long-term care facility. Aunt Edna can call the long-term care ombudsman in Wyoming. They're everywhere in all of the states. So this is a resource that really is federally funded, and it is countrywide. So here in Rhode Island, again, it's 401-785-3340. Now, if you feel like the care is not adequate and or someone is committing Medicaid or Medicare fraud, you can call the Attorney General's office at 401-222-2566. And they can address issues regarding Medicaid fraud, Medicare fraud, as well as drug diversion. So maybe someone was supposed to get the pain medication and they're not getting it appropriately, and you're wondering where those meds went. The Attorney General has the right to look into that. So there's a lot of different options for reporting. So you're never wrong to call in your suspicions. If it's just something's just not right, call Adult Protective Services at the Office of Healthy Aging at the 462-0555 number. If somebody's in a long-term care setting and you're like, yeah, I'm not really sure, call the Rhode Island Department of Health Facilities Regulation. They're at 222-5200. If you think it's a situation that, with some mediation, that it could be resolved, you can always call the Long-Term Care Ombudsman at 785-3340. There's a lot of different options for getting help. So I don't want you to think that it's hopeless, because it's not. But we also know that 1 in 10 people who are abused report it. So there's 10 folks out there who are in situations that are abusive and they're not saying a thing. And so sometimes we have to look out for one another in this avenue and make the report for someone to keep them safe. Now, as we go forward, we're going to be talking this month to a variety of different people and places that are resources or information regarding elder abuse. And when it comes to individuals who are in long-term care, one of the worries that people sometimes have is retaliation, which happens to be against the law. If you complain about a situation in a long-term care facility and anybody retaliates, it's against the law. And there are ways to address it in a wide variety of ways. Next week, I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Caspi. He has done some groundbreaking research in regards to some of the hesitation that individuals in long-term care may have regarding reporting things that are not right. because they fear retaliation, and he will be discussing ways to address those fears and make sure that the individuals are getting good care. So, as I mentioned at the top, I know I got to kind of broke up in between, so you get 2 sets of videos for me today. And afterwards, I'm sure we could put them together into one full feed. But it's important to know that in June, we raise awareness for elder abuse because it is common. And as we all get older, we ourselves could potentially become victims. So it's important that we advocate now to reduce our own risks as we get older. So this is going to be our topic for the month of June. It's going to be great resources, great information. I strongly encourage you to tell people to check it out. Hit the like button, the share button, all the social media. And I will see you all again next week when I speak with Dr. Caspi. In the meantime, be well and be kind.
If you like this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.